Hello and welcome to the podcast of American Cricket Academy and Club. We have the coaches of the academy, Coach CD. Along with him, we have Coach Sunil Vishwanathan. He is our coach at the academy for a long time. Of course, a man who does not need much of introduction, Ajay. So he's also going to be with us in this podcast. We are going to have a fun conversation with the coaches and what brought them here and how it is making an impact with ACAC in short. First of all, welcome to the podcast, coaches and Ajay.
Thanks for
Thank you.
the introduction. Yeah.
Thank you.
For the viewers who may not know much about the coaches, which is rare, but for someone who is listening for the first time, I'm going to start off with Coach Siri. How about your playing days as a player, and then what got you into coaching? Coach Siri.
Thank you, GK sir. Being an opening batsman, I guess that's the reason why you gave me the first call. But yeah, I started out like most cricketers who start playing with their siblings in the building, and I guess with your friends in the colony, and then with your dad and stuff like that. So that's how cricket started for me, and I was blessed and privileged that I joined the armed forces or the Indian Navy in this particular at a very early age and got an opportunity to move to Mumbai and the mecca of Indian cricket. And yeah, honestly speaking, that kickstarted my journey. The
Mhm.
ability to rub shoulders with the likes of a Tendulkar and a Vinod Kambli at a very young age, and also play with the likes of Manjarekar and Dilip Vensakar in the local leagues. That sort of set off my journey, and yeah, absolutely grateful. And went on to play some first class cricket, captain a first class team, and that's all the cricketer in me. It did seem a journey where I enjoyed every moment of it, and I think most importantly, I was able to live in the moment and enjoy those few precious moments as a player. Yeah.
Very good, Coach Siri. I think you ducked one of my questions. How did you get into coaching, and what brought you here?
Yeah, so coaching, I guess, was a natural progression for me. I tried a lot of other things. I first went into umpiring. I went into performance analysis. I went into physical conditioning. I tried a whole load of those things with various teams, and but when I first tried my hand at coaching way back in 2001, when I coached the under 16 Mumbai squad, of which, just to name a few, somebody like a Shreyas Iyer and a Dhaval
Mm-hmm.
Kulkarni were part of that. Those interactions and stuff like that really got me charged up, and I would be thinking about it the whole night, what I do the next morning, and really enjoyed that. I guess that was my initiation into coaching, and that was something I felt I wanted to do, and I pursued it wholeheartedly.
Fantastic. I'm going to repeat the same questions to Sunil. Talk about your playing days and what got you into coaching.
Yep. First of all, it's the parents' passion. So, on a lighter note, my dad named me Sunil Vishwanathan because he loved both Sunil Gavaskar and G.R. Vishwanath so much. So, he was an ardent fan of the game. So, gave me the name Sunil Vishwanathan. And I was lucky to be brought up in Chennai, where there's fantastic club corporate cricket culture. And again, I was lucky enough to get early inroads, started representing from a very young age group, like U13. And then, I say this like you become a brand once you start playing the state, and then you try to cruise through. Unless and until you do something drastically wrong, you're not going to be left behind. So I've been lucky enough to consistently go through the ranks in Tamil Nadu, right from under 13 all the way up to under 19 and under 22 and Ranji Trophy. So that's how the journey started. And back started off with India Cements from a very young age, playing through the junior circuit, junior club cricket through them. It's kind of the corporates and the clubs adopt you very young and they kind of nurture you. That's a very healthy culture in Chennai that we still have today. So it was lucky to be part of that setup and the cricketing culture like that. And as I was playing, one gentleman, Mr. V.B. Chandrasekhar, late Mr. V.B. Chandrasekhar is no more, unfortunately. He started his academy. Back then, during my playing days, it was just school cricket. The academy didn't spring up or mushroom so much. But at the start of, I think it's about early 2000 that I was actively playing, but he suggested that I come in and do some coaching. He said that would help my game. So that's how I got into coaching and started pursuing. And as luck would have it, my wife had a chance to travel to US for work, and that's when I got in touch with you and Ajay Bhai and got acquainted with ACAC. Incidentally or funnily, I've never done coaching in India. It's always been outside India. I don't know for whatever reason, right or wrong, good or bad. Coach CD says is it's not that the coaches learn from the kids. With every batch, we as coaches also learn something with the kids. I think that's absolutely right. So the learning goes on with every batch, and looking forward to many more.
Very good. And as Coach Siri threw a few names during his playing days, just curious, who are your U19 teammates when you play for India under 19? Anyone that you can recall, Sunil?
Yeah, we had a couple of stars. Because many of them went on to go and play for India. Amongst them, the noteworthy ones would be Yuvraj Singh, Mohammad Saif, Ritinder Singh Suri, Venugopal Rao, and then there's a player from Rajasthan who was my roommate, Anshu Jain. He's current coach of the Rajasthan team. Then Neeraj Patel stays here in Chicago. So that was a good batch. A lot of players went on and played good level of cricket. And Neeraj just played 100 first class games. So that batch was pretty good and competitive.
Wow.
First is for us when we were playing cricket, in a small city, and just to be in the same vicinity where first class players were, like we used to feel like we are in, you know, heaven. And the God has literally come in and used to take care of all their equipment and everything, and having access to Sunil when he joined, came here, and then of course having Coach CD here. For us, it's like we are living our childhood dream, right? To see the level of cricket both our coaches have, and being with them and learning and talking about cricket and sharing a lot of time with them discussing about cricket development, player development. I think it's a huge privilege which
True.
we don't take it lightly. And it's interesting how Sunil got introduction to coaching in US, right? And I think before that it was volunteer coaching at ACA, right? It was mainly led by parents, led by mainly I've been tagged as a coach, right? So just to keep the kids engaged, that was the main thing, right? Make sure they're coming back again and again to enjoy the sport. But I think having Sunil joined us, I think that was where we started thinking about how to make these kids better. That's where this journey started. So Sunil, what was your experience seeing the kids first time here? you know Totally different new space, playing on concrete wickets, right? There wasn't an infrastructure for them at the start, playing in the baseball fields. What were going through your mind when you were spending time with these kids?
Honestly, I thought they were two crazy people, you and Ganesh and like, trying to spread the joy of this amazing sport. That is what it was for me. And as you rightly said, it's about engaging them, making them come back for the next session. But credit to the kids, even at 100, 105 degrees, where we used to do camps, I remember having tents in between the grounds. They were literally there from 9 to 5 because the parent couldn't back then come in and pick them up during the day. It was a whole day program, and mind you, it was very hot. But the kids, their passion was so unbelievable, and they were so relentless. What has been surprising for me from then until now, Ajay Bhai, is the fact that not one kid has come up to us, the coaches, and said, "Coach, I'm so tired. I'm going to take a break tomorrow." They have never taken a break. Mind you, we practice like I'm sure we get there in detail the selection program where we do 4 hours in the morning, another 3 to 4 hours in the evening. I can tell you, not even many first class teams would practice so much in India. But the fact that the kids, none of them say like, I'm tired, I'm not going to show up tomorrow. They've always showed up, and I think that kind of energizes and inspires us coaches too.
You said it very well. I think the passion, that's the reason we started this whole program. I think I didn't want to start this academy. A lot of parents, a lot of kids forced us to do it, because when somebody calls you coach, it comes with a huge responsibility. It's not somebody, calling you uncle is easy. People calling you coach, now all of a sudden you got a burden on your shoulder, that you need to make sure that they have a good experience, they have the right infrastructure, right training. It comes with a huge responsibility. Coach CD, I remember you committing for a month to come here. You didn't believe that there will be much happening in St. Louis. And I still remember, your first tour was for a month to check it out, what's happening in America. How did you feel when you came here and saw, and met these kids?
So just taking off from where you were saying, Ajay bhai, I think when I landed up, the first and foremost thing that hit me was to see everybody with walking around with a coach T-shirt. So I think this is Coach Gary and this is Coach Anurag, Coach GK, Coach Ajay, and I had these guys have got 50 coaches. Why do they actually need me? So that was the very first thing that actually hit me. So, but that also on hindsight, that also said that the respect and the value that a coach has there, or the title of the word coach, I think that was first endearing thing that hit me when I landed. So within a few days, I realized that the kids, they had this thing that whether it was another parent coming in, they gave them the total respect. Number two, I was stuck in the middle of USA somewhere where there was nothing around, and to see people like Coach Sunil said landing up, parents dropping their kids at 8:30 in the morning, and you don't see their parents again till around about 6 in the evening. Okay, whether it was 5 kids in the block or 50 of them, I would absolutely back Sunil to say, if you have to give marks for enthusiasm to the kids and the parents who came in there, it was top notch. And I, for a moment, thought, yeah, I'm really enjoying what I do, and for me, that was very important. So I think that's my first impression of the ACACA path. The most important thing I thought, what I reached out was, I found lovely people who were genuine at heart, and the whole thing, I wouldn't call it an academy. I would say it was a community of like-minded people who got together for the love of cricket and put their hearts and souls into what he was doing. And I think that's the key USP of the American Cricket Academy and Club. Yeah.
I always used to joke that your trip to ACAC during the COVID time, when I literally called Coach CD to take a flight from Hyderabad to Delhi, and the first question he asked, JK sir, what do I do next? I do not know, but you have to fly to Delhi first, and then we'll figure it out. I would have imagined your conversation with your wife that there are two crazy folks who are wanting me to travel from Hyderabad to Delhi without having any plans. And then magically we have to find a flight in the last charter flight that would fly out before the shutdown happened. I was just wondering what went through your mind about the two crazy folks you're sitting in front of you.
Yeah, I think if I may go back and say, what are the conversations with the wife? There was no conversation. You can understand the wife at that moment of time. I got silent treatment. Yeah. So, but to have the confidence and to see that you were working close to 24 to 48 hours, I think, to find a flight to get me to Delhi before the gates were shut, to get me to the US before the gates were shut. And I went with an open mind. I honestly said, if things can get so crazy that you're ready to, I would say book a charter flight to get me there, then I want to be on that flight. So we'll take it as we go. And hats off to you all, the way you all pulled it off. You used every connection in the book, and I'm grateful for that, for the opportunity, the privilege as well. And yeah, I guess the wife conversation, we'll hold it for another day. It was long and wide.
The segue to the question is to both of you, of course. What made you to choose ACAC as a club where you are currently coaching, and what makes that unique? Let me start off with you, Coach Sedi.
Thank you, sir. Honestly speaking, after a couple of trips to the USA, I was pinged by quite a few academies, quite a few individuals who thought that I could add some value to their centers or to their kids to keep joining them. But again, I'd like to reiterate, most importantly, the values of the academy. This academy sort of was very close to the philosophy that I coach in. And when you started your coaching, I had only one philosophy, and I call it the philosophy of the street light. Okay, where you have a street light which gives out its light to anyone who passes under it. So, for example, you may have somebody just playing under the street light. You may have somebody studying under the street light. Somebody coming and just passing through without even recognizing there's a street light. But the light keeps shining on them. And I think the ACACA Park, when I joined, was like that. Any kid, irrespective of whatever level they are played, whichever strata they came from, which community they came from, did not matter. You came to the park, you got an equal footing, you got an equal treatment. And that was my philosophy. So that was something that really endured me. Besides, I keep repeating, the people, the families, it was more a family there, and I got drawn into the ACACA, what do you call this, the well of wellness, I would say. And it's very difficult to get out once you're there. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sunil, your experience, I think you chose ACA twice, actually, if not once. So, what
Yeah.
makes you to keep choosing ACA again?
On a serious note, like once I saw the commitment, right? Every time you used to get me Amtrak train tickets. I remember I used to come Friday morning from Kansas, land Friday afternoon. We used to have a session Friday evening, then Saturday whole day session, then Sunday half a day, and then I had a train back at 3 o'clock. and you did that week after week. Besides, I had a chance to live in your house, Ajay Bhai's house, Sridhar Anna's house. So it literally became like a family away from home for me. So, and 2016 back then, like, back then only I used to call this a movement. It's not an academy. It was such a nice community driven activity, as Coach Siri rightly mentioned. You don't get to see that regularly on with any other academy, I would say. The kind of community involvement, especially back then when there was nothing in cricket, right? There was no pathway. It was pure passion. It was pure recreation and entertainment for the kids, and parents' involvement was incredible. So I'm so glad that I could find ACAC and then associate, and still the association continues. It's a privilege. And I would also like to say it's a huge privilege to have someone like Coach CD with us. I call him the Dronacharya of cricket. He's an encyclopedia, and
Without a
the
question.
way he kind of communicates, it's just not having the expertise, right? It's having the communication to kind of convey what you want to. And Coach Siri is so unbelievable. And the third part, I would say, is humility. So when you're so good, when you can communicate well, not everybody will be humble enough. I think these three factors sets Coach CD apart, and we are extremely privileged. And it's been huge learning for me because anytime I go to him, I ask him questions. Sometimes it might sound stupid, but he's always guided. He said, "Okay, these are things you need to work on. These are the things you need to look for." So I call him camera eyes. The way he picks up, he just needs to have a glimpse of what the batter or bowler does, and then he kind of gets it so easy and passes it on. Knowledge, communication, and humility. So, coach, we are extremely privileged, and we can't thank you enough for your guidance.
Handing off to Ajay to talk some of the coaching programs we have here at ACAC.
Yeah, so I think in our last podcast also we covered, right? There are kids who are in the beginner program and intermediate program, right? They get to play, practice couple times a week, play a game over the weekend. But I think the key difference between us and other academies is high performance program, right? Select stream performance program. It's not skill based, it's not age based, it's mainly passion driven, right? How passionate these kids are. We have 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds who want to be in the program, and we have 17-year-old who will be in the program, right? So for us, we used to do this program, as Sunil mentioned at the start, when we had few passionate kids who really wanted to play cricket in entire summer is our goal time. This is June, July, middle of August, 2.5 months. We have full access to the kids. That is the time I say, in USA, that is the time where it's a tough time for kids because they're adding skills plus they're playing a lot of games. So it's not that easy on them. But that is our time to, level up, take their game to the next level. And I think, as Sunil mentioned, we got privileged to have Coach CD there and to build this program ground up. We used to run this program. We used to have a lot of quantity of in this program, right? The quality of the program was built on clearly defining what are the things we were going to cover, how we are going to cover, how fielding sessions, how the physical fitness part of the program, skill part of the program, mental aspect of the program, that whole thing which was developed, that's absolutely, I think that stood us apart, right? Not just the St. Louis kids, we have kids all over the country coming in, staying here for month, 2 month, 3 months, renting apartments, huge sacrifice by the parents to come and do it. So, CD sir, you have seen that programs, producing some talent, right? It's not easy when you say that, overall 6 kids from St. Louis has represented the country at under 19 and, senior level. 4 are clearly the kids who learned how to hold a bat from you, right? And then you have given almost 15 kids in the minor league team, right? What were the key things? Like in India, you have so much of assistant around it when you're running a program, a session like that. What were the things you had to think through here to build this high performance program for the summer for kids?
Okay, a very good question, Ajay Bhai. I think most importantly for any program to succeed, number one and foremost thing is you've got to have infrastructure. One, okay, you build it, they will come. So I think the vision of the American Cricket Academy of building pitches that were not available in the whole of the Midwest, whether it's a hybrid pitch, whether it's having UK based pitches which you could take turn, or whether having concrete pitches on which you had bounce, or whether having the Australian pitches which could, pace and are good for batters, the academy had that. Number two, You had to have an administration that gave total trust to the coaches or the people working on the park and the freedom for them to execute. That was amply evident over there. And number three, I think you got to have a group of parents who buy into the vision of what it is to have a high performance program, because they've got to put their jobs on hold, they've got to put their timings on hold, they've got to drop the kids, pick them up, and stuff like that. So I think all these three ingredients were so available at the academy, readily available, that it was just an ecosystem was waiting to burst out, you know. And privileged to have people like Sunil coming in, who's never afraid to speak his mind, always comes in, puts a word in your ear. To have people, to have players who are so hungry that when they come to the ground, they challenge you. So that keeps you as a coach at the top of your game. To have the simple things like, very rarely do you get to see, you get into academy structures where I just say I need 250 balls, and a week later I get 500 of them, right? So whatever equipment I need, I have an equipment genie called Ajay Jam. I just have to drop him a message and just rub the lamp and it arrives over there. So these factors, besides also having parents traveling from Kansas, Cincinnati, 8 hour, 9 hour drives, coming, spending weekends, this whole thing got together and has helped us, I would say, or privileged for us to have worked with kids who have gone on to represent USA. Is that the pinnacle of an academy? Not really. Are we there to get people into the major league to play for Team USA, the senior team, and maybe have an IPL player in the future? Definitely, that's the vision, and that is something that drives us every day. That's something that we think of every day, and I'm absolutely privileged to have the support of all of you in running that program. Yeah.
Very good, Siri sir. Sunil, in your eyes, what do you think that about the Select Stream program and how does it make you unique?
Just adding on to what CD said, is a combination of the hardware and software, right? So the hardware is the infrastructure, software is the quality of people, the human resources involved. I think that's where the key is, and ACAC has been amazing in the sense that you both have managed to build the hardware and get the software as well, to put it that way. And the Select Stream program, for me, the fantastic part is we have two grounds. Believe me, 90% or probably more of the USA kids, the youth, in the grassroots, they don't even have access to proper cricket fields, right? It's either the city parks which have grass until your knees, where the balls sometimes get lost, or they all play indoors. So the fact that we have two outdoor grounds with nets and bowling machine and lighting for the nets, so we can play day in and day out, and most importantly, is the outdoor where we can do center wicket practice, because unfortunately, cricket is one sport where we don't practice the same way we compete, right? So all nets, yes, and nets is well utilized with regards to the drills that OCD has designed for us. Every day we have the groups which get into fitness training regime, and then you have the fielding part. You have drills, batting drills, and you also have match simulations in the center. So it is very holistic because of the hardware, which is the infrastructure, and the software, the quality of people, and the expertise that we have managed to have.